being when Jeff Urich stands in front of cameras this morning and says that you support this legislation.
Well, again, I don't think that's what he said, and I saw that he was on the television quite recently, and I know that he didn't say that when he went on television. I will just tell you of exactly the conversation that we had last night at about 11 o'clock, which was that he phoned, and I thought it was courteous of him to call and tell me he was going to make the speech in which he would make reference to the introduction of this legislation tomorrow. And I said to him that came as no surprise to me, both because it had been referred to specifically in their budget presentation, and because it had been referred to in our city manager's report to the council a couple of weeks ago, so I wasn't surprised at that. And that I would say that if you asked me what I thought about the fact they were going to introduce this bill. And then I went on to say that I thought the process that was taking place at that table, where they've been meeting even in recent days to discuss all the different questions, was a process that was, I think at the moment constructive in nature. And so that's all I said to him, and the notion that I said, and I think he's clarified that if he chose his words less precisely in the first instance, that's all I said. I didn't say anything more about supporting anything.
Mayor Tory, the Ford government was trying to steal Toronto subways. Is that your sense of what's happening here?
I would say that we don't know the answer to that question yet, because what's being discussed at the table, and even leaving aside the question that enabling legislation is going to be introduced tomorrow on the new projects, what's being discussed at the table is if you were to have an uploading, and there's not even been yet a concession by anybody or a conclusion reached from those discussions that they're going to be an uploading, even the piece of legislation doesn't mean there's going to be an uploading, it means they would be enabled to do so. What's being discussed at the table is what is going to be best to get the most transit built, the fastest, for the cheapest price, that is going to be good for Torontonians.